Hello, good yo-yo people. I'm Nate. This is Let's Talk Yo-Yo, and today I am going to wrap up the third and final part of yo-yo maker Pedro Flores. So hopefully you've liked this series. I've been wanting to do videos like this that showcase sort of the icons, the idols, so to speak, the heroes of the yo-yo toy. And so I may do some more of these if you guys are interested in these. I may not do them in a book format, but if I find a book, maybe I will. But I just was inspired just because I found a kid's book on this. But I may just kind of expound and regurgitate a little bit on what I found about a particular thrower or a particular legend in the yo-yo community, what I can research and find. So of course you can do that too, but maybe there's something interesting that we can offer here. So if you like this content, let me know. Let me know if you want more of it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and flip to chapter 9. And this chapter is called Supply Struggles. Here we go. By the 1930s, much of Flores' work for Duncan was behind the scenes. He was no longer in the yo-yo spotlight. However, his success had inspired Radovan. In 1935, Radovan opened Royal Tops Manufacturing Company. Meanwhile, I actually have one of those, by the way. Pretty cool. Meanwhile, Flores continued to promote exciting events for Duncan Toys. But the yo-yo business was not all fun and games. In 1939, World War II began. The U.S. military needed all the supplies it could get, so the government rationed certain goods. It was difficult for yo-yo companies to get the materials that they needed to make yo-yos. Rationing ended soon after the war did in 1945. Duncan Toys returned to its normal operations, but it now had more competition. Radovan's yo-yos had risen in popularity. Flores wanted to help his friend. He began working with Radovan. As the economy proved, even more yo-yo companies popped up. Yo-yo buyers now had several choices. Duncan had to keep releasing new, exciting toys to compete for buyers. So in the 1950s, he made a major change. Instead of wood, Duncan Toys began using plastic. Plastic yo-yos were lighter and easier to use. The new yo-yos were very, very popular. It's shipped to toy stores around the world. So the first part is plastic discs. Plastic pellets are melted into a heated funnel. A long rotating screw pushes the melted plastic into a mold. Tubes surrounding the mold fill with cold water. This cools the plastic. The mold opens, 2 outer shells and 2 flat discs fall onto an assembly line. Axles. A long metal axle is cut into even sections. Each section will be an axle. Each axle is fed into a clamp. Notches are cut into each end, and these help the axle grip the plastic. The axles fall onto an assembly line. And then assembly, finally. A worker attaches each shell to its discs. Next, a worker hammers the axle into one of the halves. He or she then hammers the remaining half onto the other end of the axle. The yo-yo is fed into a machine press. The press further secures the yo-yo halves to the axle. A spool of string is cut and looped around the axle. A worker uses a special machine to spin the string onto the yo-yo. The yo-yo is packaged and boxed for shipping. Chapter 11, Ups and Downs. After years in the background, Flores was ready to shine again. In 1954, he started a new yo-yo company. He called it the Flores Corporation of America. But the Flores Corporation could not compete with Duncan Toys. Its products were largely ignored. Flores Corporation failure marked the end of Flores' amazing career. He lived his later years in Coshocton, Ohio. Flores died in December 1963. In 1957, Duncan passed his toy company to his son, Donald Jr. and Jack. At first, the company did very well. It released a new yo-yo, the Butterfly, that became very popular. Between 1962 and 1963, Duncan Toys sold 101 million Butterfly yo-yos. But the company's success did not last. Production and marketing costs were too high, and Duncan Toys had spent too much money protecting its rights to the word yo-yo in previous years. In 1965, the company went bankrupt. 3 years later, Flambeau Plastics Corporation bought the Duncan brand. Flambeau could provide the plastics needed to create yo-yos. And now it had all the Duncan toys, molds, and materials to continue the Duncan tradition. In 1999, the Duncan Yo-Yo entered the National Toy Hall of Fame. Duncan Yo-Yos are still made and sold today. Chapter 12, The Modern Thrower. Pedro Flores fulfilled his dream of starting a yo-yo business. In the process, he spread lasting joy around the nation. Today, a huge community of throwers meets at contests and conventions to celebrate their favorite toy. And for some, throwing is more than a game. It's a lifestyle. Some professional throwers devote their lives to the art of throwing. In many ways, they take after Flores' original all-star team. Modern yo-yo pros participate in competitions around the world. Many of the contests are sponsored by yo-yo companies. Throwers at these contests try out new yo-yo models and represent certain companies. Today's yo-yos have come a long way from simple wooden discs. They are made for speed and durability. Most consist of metal or heavy plastic. The heavier weights help them spin longer than wooden yo-yos. These pro yo-yos are more like tools than toys. Some cost hundreds of dollars. From beginners to pro throwers, there is a yo-yo for everyone, and that was always Flores' goal. His enthusiasm and marketing skills sparked an unstoppable hobby. It is clear that the yo-yo is here to stay. Dang right it is. All right, the last chapter, the timeline, as a review of what we've gone over in this entire book. So, starts off in 500 BCE. The yo-yo is invented in ancient Greece. Do you see that nowhere in here does it say that it was a weapon? Take note. 1899, Pedro Flores is born in Vintar, Ilocos Norte, Philippines. 1915, Flores moves to the United States. 1928, Flores starts the yo-yo manufacturing company in June 9. And 1929, Donald Duncan buys the yo-yo manufacturing company. He changes its name to the Duncan Toy Company. In 1950s, Duncan Toys begins making plastic yo-yos. 1954, Flores starts the Flores Corporation of America. 1963, Flores dies in December. 1968, Flambeau Plastics Corporation buys Duncan Toys. In 1999, the Duncan yo-yo enters the National Toy Hall of Fame. Fun little fact, walk the dog is a common yo-yo trick. Throwers perform this trick by spinning the yo-yo near their feet and on the ground as they walk. And every yo-yoer hates being asked to do it. All right, that's going to do it for yo-yo maker Pedro Flores. That was fun. Until next time, good day and good yo-yo.